So first of all, this is a DSLR. So most of you probably have a DSLR. So I know that some of you already know these things. So, but these are the basic things I want to talk about photography. You may have a contact, very small form camera. You may have DSLR, or you may have mirrorless. Here it's not important. So first of all, when you're gonna do photography, you should have this band around your neck. So this is very important, because if you are taking a photo and somebody just hits you or anything happen, it doesn't go full down and you will not damage your camera. It's very important to have this one. So remember, all the time, have this strap around your neck. So when you want to take a photograph, first of all, it's very important to open your legs to the size of your shoulder, because it helps you to stand stable. Then here, so these are your hands. It comes like this. So you have your front, your fingers here. Your point finger should be here for if you have a front dial, or you have the shutter button here, and your thumb should come back here for back dial and other things. So this is very, very important. This is the way that you grab your camera, and your left hand, if you are right-handed or left-handed, it's different. So you put it here. It should get the camera up, so it could move easily. Then you should close your elbows to your body like this. And as I mentioned earlier, I want to show you here. Your feet should be open, your legs. And now I have the best position for taking a photo because it's stable. It's very important. Standing from here and to here. If you just cross a little bit your legs, it's much better, because see, I'm stable in this direction, I'm stable in that direction. It's very important. You'll not fall easily. And if you want to sit, or if you want to lie down, again, you should just be the same style, but in the lying style. When you are going to carry your camera and you are looking for photography, you should have like this. Take your camera with your hand. So it's exactly when you see that people, some army guys, they are walking, they have their arms, they have their gun like this. So it's the same. You should have like this. Always walking and have your camera ready. But if you are hiking, or you are walking in some places that you don't want to take photo, or you are not that standby, so if you're just carrying your camera, it's very important to have like this. So your camera should, my hand goes and my head. So the camera come here and stand here on my back. This is very important. First of all, when you are walking forward, you may have something that may hit you, or you are walking on woods, so some trees, branches, anything, bushes. Your camera is on your back, so nothing happened to the camera. And the other thing is that you are feeling your lens and your body together. If you keep it like this, so you don't feel your lens. And also your lens is something that is out, it's dangerous, even for the camera and you. You know why? Because maybe you're in a crowded place, not in Canada. Canada is a very safe country. Or in other countries, you're in a crowded place and you're walking like this. So someone could come and, without you notice, just remove the lens, and you are happily just walking. You think that you have your camera, but you may lose your expensive lens. So it is very important the other way that I told you. I mean, here, like this. So this is the first lesson for today. You may already know But if you don't know, from now on, remember that if you wanna just walk and have your camera, put your camera like this. And if you're gonna take a photo, your camera should come here and over the strap around your neck. I start with a question. What is a camera? By saying camera, I don't mean these things. I don't mean these things. So the camera, what is it? What is the originality of this? The origin of this word, etymological. What is the etymology of camera? Camera, okay? We know a device that consists of a light-proof chamber with an aperture fitted. So this is a very important word here, chamber. Okay, so we will go down, and this because in Webster you can find etymology here. Yeah, history and etymology for camera, late Latin means room, chamber, or in French, chambre. Well, so this is chambre or chamber or camera in Latin. It means room. Just a room, normal room. So the camera means this. Let's continue. So what is a camera? A camera actually is a room. And before that, it was a camera obscura. This is the shape of camera obscura. What is camera obscura? Camera obscura means a room that is dark. A room which is dark. The earliest known written record of camera obscura is found in Chinese text called Mozi. So Mozi is a philosopher, a Chinese philosopher, 4th century BC. So he talked about this room, the first one who, they just understand it, that the first one who talked about this invention was Mozi. Is a Chinese philosopher, I think from Han, yeah, Han Chinese philosophers. So what is it? It says that if you have a very, very dark room, it means that no light. Then a tiny hole, okay, a tiny hole like you are seeing here, the V is a hole, okay? This is the room and the V is a hole. If you have a tiny hole, then you have the picture of scenery in front of the room upside down in the back of the room. So that is very important things. So 4th century BC, people understand that it could happen. We could have the picture of scenery on a wall. So that was very important. Later, during Renaissance and other, so before that also, I believe there was someone, Ibn Hisam, actually, he's a Muslim philosopher, also talk about camera obscura, and also Plato talk about camera obscura, and later, after all, they use it a lot when during Renaissance. During Renaissance, they use it as a tool for trying to making picture. If you look at pictures like, for example, Leonardo da Vinci, you will see that there are lots of very good geometric things in the painting. So they see differently in during the Renaissance. So they are based on camera obscura. Later, they also add some mirror and something like this that you see in this picture. It's periscope. So they have the picture somewhere else, come here to the mirror. So it's 45 degrees and come down on the table. In the dark room, they have the picture. So you see here, you have the picture, you have a dark room, and you want to preserve the picture. You want to keep the picture. What you will do? The first use of camera obscura, actually the first use of camera was making picture or helping making picture by hand. So you see here, this is a very famous painting. As you see here, this shape, this is a camera obscura. It's this exactly the same, or it has the same mechanism of nowadays camera. So there is not much different with this one and that one, or even this one. So the digital one. So all the things are the same. The physical things, optical things are the same, but the quality and the preserving and just keep the way that we keep the picture are different. Okay, and if you are just eager about the painting, it's by Jan Vermeer or Jan Vermeer. So there are two pronunciations. Just it's not important, but I just mentioned it. So they started having the picture using the camera, but they are just thinking about keep the picture automatically. They want to have the picture automatically, not having by hand. Actually, it was very nice because it was easy. It's like, you know, there are lots for children, there are lots of painting book. They have all, you know, dotted things. They just go through it and paint it and draw it. So it was like that. So they have the picture. It's kind of opaque things or an opaque glass, and they try to put a paper on it and just draw it or paint it. But they were thinking about preserving automatically. Something happened. In the 80s, Tom Wedgwood understand that there are some connection between silver and light. So he understood something, but also some of our old ladies or grandma also know that if they put their silver outside in the light, they change the color. So the silver is sensitive to the light, but how about some other kind of silver, like silver nitrate? So silver nitrate is so sensitive to the light, and they understand it. Here you see that his examine and his observation about putting some and what they are leaves, are actual leaves on the leather that is covered with silver nitrate, and see that, you know, they have like a shadow thing. So that was very important. They understand. So there is a light and there are some material that are light sensitive. Later, so we are talking about 80s, and now 18, we are talking about 18, and it's 1826 or 27. There was a person, a French gentleman, Joseph Nicephore Niepce. This is the name actually in French, Nicephore. Joseph Nicephore Niepce in French. So this person was practicing the same thing. He was thinking about capturing the image. You see here on the right, here is the oldest image, or at least the older image that we have right now. Can you see or understand what is it? So it's a building, and this is very old things, and it's not bright. I'm okay. So we cannot understand what is it completely, but that is the first picture, and that was a big step for him because he understood that, oh, it is possible. So here, Nicephore Niepce in 1826 or 27 captured using a technique known as heliography. So heliography means writing with light. The shot was taken from the upstairs window at Niepce estate in Burgundy, as a heliography produces one-of-a-kind image. There is no duplicates of this space. So this is just one image. It was still like painting because that was unique. No other painting, just a unique picture. And that was his start. That was the start of these things. There was someone else also in French, Daguerre. Louis Daguerre. He was, I'm not sure about the pronunciation because they are French name, but here we call it Daguerre. Okay, Louis Daguerre was a famous person in Paris and also in 19th century. And also he was inventor. He already invented diorama. So diorama was a kind of show, a kind of theater that they use lights and shadows to have a kind of show, a kind of theater, and amuse people. So with this invention, he made lots of money and lots of powerful friends.
and he has power. But unfortunately, Nis for Names doesn't have that much power over money. He needs money that time, and so Daguerre went to him and said that, okay, you are doing something. I'm pretty sure that you are going very well, but I believe that you need foundation, you need money. I want to be your partner. I want to invest in your knowledge, in your invention, and also you can share your finding, your idea with me. So they come to an agreement to work together. But in the way, through the photography, unfortunately, these were Nips died, and Daguerre was alone. So Daguerre introduced himself as the first one who invented photography, and he is officially Daguerre is inventor of photography. But his way was really different from Nips' way. But he learned from Nis for Nips. Okay, he learned from him. So Daguerre just started to understand that silver is important, but what kind of silver? So he was doing something else. He's doing silver, just plate and other things. And he come to a conclusion that we should have a plate that is metal and it is very clear like a mirror, but it should be cheap and durable. So he find it copper. The copper plate is very good for these things. And he just cover it with silver bromide. Actually, with bromide is sensitive, and with mercury, he did something that to the picture and process the picture, develop the picture. And you see here, this is Boulevard du Temple in Paris. So there are no people in the middle of the day. What do you think? Why it's so empty? Do you see anyone here in the picture? Some people believe that it's a man who is standing there because he wanted to polish his shoes. Just put his shoes and someone is polishing the shoes. It's like a shoe polishers and the pedestrian. And they are the only person who are in this picture. Why? Because the lighting, the exposure time was really long, and no one captured in this picture, just this one who was standing there for 10 minutes at least. They were just passing. So when you're passing, you're not in the picture. And this is the whole idea of daguerreotype. Oh, he called his invention daguerreotype. So daguerreotype means that because his name was Daguerre, so he called it daguerreotype, or in English daguerreotype. In French it's daguerreotype, in English daguerreotype. So because it means that my name, like because he wants his name as a kind of invention. So you see here this camera Obscura and silver plate, and we have also, so you see A, B, C, D, F, see these things? For example, C is iodine and bromide. So because they use bromide and iodine, mercury cabin, slides, and all the things that were there. So they use these things to make photography. And Daguerre made the daguerreotype things that you should buy the license to practice it. That was very important. So you need a license to practice daguerreotype because he wants to make money. He is the person who went to Nis for Nips because he wanted to invest. That was very important during 19th century. People tried to invent things to invest. They wanted to make money. So this is the person who registered his invention and asked for license from the people who wanted to use this. So because people were paying the license, most of the people who using the daguerreotype, they were the portrait photographer, because the portrait was the thing that they easily can make money from it. People coming, standing, and taking the photograph. But there was something wrong with these photographs. I will tell you. First of all, they were unique. So there were just one photo. When you take the daguerreotype, that is just one thing. Finish. You cannot reproduce it. If you want another photo, you should take another one. And so, and it was a little expensive. First of all, because you need a license. The second thing, because you need silver, because you need copper, two things that are expensive, plus mercury that is not cheap. So three expensive material and a license. So most of the people try to practice portrait photography. So the daguerreotype was a perfect things for portrait photographer, and that was very bright. And the other thing was that you cannot look at the daguerreotype directly and see the photo. You should have something like this. For example, if I'm looking at the daguerreotype, I should just turn it like this to the light to see the photo. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen laser engraving metal? There are small metal that ask people for, they do with laser things. So it's the same. So it's a little, you know, it was like engraving, but it was photography because they were engraving with light. So most of them were portrait photographers, the daguerreotype, but also there were some other people who try different things like scene or in landscape photography, but not lots of them. So something else happened. There was another person. There was another person named William Henry Fox Talbot. William Henry Fox Talbot actually was a very famous and feudal and very rich man, English man, that he was doing about his estates and all the things about feudalism and other things. But in a spare time, he was practicing photography. Actually, he didn't have any idea about what he was practicing. He was trying to capture the picture, far from daguerre by himself. So then he read on the news that someone in France, in Paris, that actually declared an invention that is daguerreotype. So he was a little bit disappointed, but he just pushed himself forward and practiced hard. And just 2 years later, because we have daguerreotype in 1839, and he introduced his way of photography 1841 that they call it colotype or Talbot type because his name was Talbot. It was a very good thing. First of all, he made it free. There is no need for license. So if we want to compare these things, it's like iOS and Android, or Windows or Linux. So these things are the licensed one and the free one. So Android is free. All of the company could use Android. For example, Samsung, Sony, all the companies use Android. But iOS need license, and it's something that it's for iPhone and Apple. So this is the same. Colotype was a kind of free process. You don't need to pay to Talbot to use it. You can learn it from everywhere. You can learn it from your neighbor. You can buy a pamphlet that was written and it was a full description of the process, and you can buy it for, I think that was £10 that times, and you learn all the things. And the other thing was that it was actually, they were positive and negative. So they have one negative, and they could have plenty of positive, as you see in this picture. So this is a kind of, we could say it's the origin of film photography, or the photography went this way because they used this one, positive, negative, and it could reproduce many photos. They can have lots of photos from one negative. But there was something also wrong. It was not very clear because they used papers, and paper is not clear. It's opaque. Paper is opaque, so they use it, and it was not as clear as the daguerreotype. but it was cheap. So people use it very well. You know why? Because there were lots of photographers that they want just to practice photography for themselves or for pleasure. They went through this process. See, for example, this one, the left one, you see that some children that are not rich, probably from their clothes, so they are in the picture. So it means that it's a free picture. Yeah, David Octavius Hill and Robert Adamson, they were two persons from UK that they practice this kind of photography and ask and take pictures of fishermen and poor people. So they start another kind of photography because it was free and it didn't cost too much money for them, so they could practice this one. We have a kind of photography that is reproducible. We have negative and lots of positive. You see here they are reproducing photography in the right picture. But there is something wrong because this is not clear. The paper is not suitable, it's not a proper material to use as a negative for reproducing because it's not clear, it's opaque. So what is your suggestion? If you want to substitute something with that paper, what is your suggestion? Glass. So that was Frederick Scott Archer who tried to have the same way, the same process, but using a glass. So, but it was a little different because he used something else. We called it Claudian instead of that process that he uses. So the idea and the process or the origin are the same, but they are tiny different with each process. So he uses glass and making very, very good, bright and nice negative. After that, you can have plenty of photograph from this negative. And it helps photographers to practice some kind of other photography as they believe that time it's a kind of art photography. For example, Henry Pitch Robinson or Oscar Gustav Reilander, they were a person who tried this kind of negative, use this kind of negative to manipulate the kind of photography that was a kind of stage photography or what we called it manipulated photography. They were retouched, they were copied, they were anything. For example, look at this picture. If I'm not wrong, it is produced by using 16 negative to making this picture. All of these pictures were taken separately in a studio, and the background, and finally the artist just bring all of them together and make this photo. So they use different glasses to use this one. So they have very good talent and they were powerful in making this kind of photography. So I have another question. Let's start with this one. So we have glass. It's very good, it's clear, and it's powerful, but there is something wrong. It's heavy, first of all, and it may be broken or smashed if we broke that one, or so it's not safe. So what is your, and the first of all, it's really heavy. Glass is heavy because if you have, for example, 10 or 20 photos, it could be really heavy carrying them, carrying actually negative, not photo. So what is your suggestion for substituting the glass? They use gelatin plate instead of glass because it was clear, it was light, and that was the best idea to use that one. And they didn't have the plastic, as you mentioned. So they use different kind of process. I don't want to mention all of them because it's just a short brief story, and it's just like a story. I don't want to just go through the deep details, and they are not in any exam. This is just for understanding, and if you have any idea, because I want to mention something else after these things, that what happened if you know these things. So they went to practice different kind of material, and one of them was gelatin. And after that, it was one of the, in 1883, one of the most important and the best invention was by Kodak. In this camera, so that was the easiest things for that time, because photography was hard before that. But after that, photography became the easiest things. You have a camera, this box, it was loaded with the negative, with the film, actually, gelatin film, a roll film, and the motto was that you press the button, we do the rest. So you just take the photo, 100 photo, and you send it to the company. That those days was like, for example, like a Tim Horton, or was like a Walmart. It was everywhere. And you go to the office and give the camera, and they will load your camera and give the pictures, 100 pictures to you. And all of this was about $10. That was all. So from that point, photography was the easiest things. Like nowadays that everyone has a camera, everyone is a photographer. Today, everyone is a photographer because everyone has a camera, mobile phone, and taking photographs. That was the invention. I just mentioned this one, this having camera for mobile phone, to understand how photography was easy that day. And Kodak made it easy for everyone. Later, different kind of cameras came, and all of these cameras you see here, from the Claudian and from the wet plate to the daguerreotype and DSLR and digital, they just go by and by, and we have lots of difference. But there is something in all of them, or in most of them. The things that you are seeing here, the one that I want to talk about again here. So this is very important. Yeah, good. Good, Ryan. So this is very important, that most of the cameras have the same features, or at least they are similar. So this one and this digital one, they have lots of things in common. So they are different. Yeah, this is a film photography, film camera. This is a digital camera. But the whole physical process, the whole optic process is the same. It means that they have a lens. They have a lens that just through the lens we see, and the lights come. So see, this is the lens. You can see through the lens. And yeah, so, and after that, we have here a chamber. We call it mirror chamber, and mirrorless camera doesn't have the mirror, but they have the chamber. And back of the chamber, there is here somewhere, here back, that the picture will be there, but we should preserve it. With this camera, we preserve the picture on the film, and with that camera, we picture preserve on the digital sensor. These are the same. So here, let me show you something. Here, see, this is that camera. Easy. You can see through it. Can you see me? Yeah. Because there is just the picture would be here, and we have the film back of it, and it will save the pictures here. To see my hand come through it. So there is nothing special. But in digital camera, we cannot open the camera like this one, and there is a digital sensor, and we capture the pictures. That's all. You see here in this picture, lights come through the lens. There is a mirror, but the mirrorless camera doesn't have that one. Then go up, and we see through the visor here. That's all. So most of the cameras, they have the same process and the same situation. Okay, let's talk about lens. Do we have time? Let me check the time. Yeah, we have at least 1 hour, and it's good. So when you see that lens was a very important thing, or is a very important thing in camera and in photography, in all kinds of photography. This one, this compact one also has a lens. See, this is a compact camera, but the whole process is the same. So it's a lens, and then we have here sensor and also a monitor, but they are the same things. So one of the most important part of each camera is lens. A camera without lens is useless to a photographer. Right or wrong? Without this lens, without this kind of lens, we do not have a very good and high quality picture. So lenses are very important in quality, but we can have photography. We can practice some kind of artistic photography, like pinhole photography that you already know about it. So with pinhole photography, that later we will talk about it, we will remove our lenses, and without any lens, just with covering our, what is it, at the front of the camera, we take the pictures. So you will learn it. Let's first talk about focal length. The focal length of the lens is a distance between the lens and the image sensor. So when the subject is in focus. So this is the focal length, stated in millimeter. For example, you have 1855. This is a very famous lens. And it's actually, yeah, 1851. It's included in lots of the DSLR camera. Or you have 50 or 100. So what are the differences? Is when you have two numbers like 18 to 55 or 70 to 300, it's a zoom lens. Means that zoom lens has a variety of focal lengths, and it is written in minimum and maximum. So these are different. When we have a zoom lens like this one, so this is, let me stop sharing and show myself. So this is the zoom lens. If you see here, I'm gonna to remove this one. So here, if you see, yeah, I think you see. So this is, it's written zoom lens, yeah, zoom lens, then 35, 70 millimeters. So this is a zoom lens because we can change the focal length. This is also a zoom lens. Another one. This is also a zoom lens. If you look at this, again, you can see Canon zoom lens, EFS, 135 millimeter. So this means that we can change the focal length. So this is a zoom lens. And here we have a prime lens. So this is a prime lens. If you look at this one, it doesn't show any word that is zoom. There is no zoom, just what? 85 millimeter. So this is not a zoom lens. This is a prime lens. Usually prime lens are cheaper than zoom lens, and most of them have a better quality. Okay, most of them have a better quality. I myself, use, most of the time I use prime lens. These, you know, I prefer to use prime lens because they have a very good quality. They are sharp. Usually they are very fast. We will talk about the speed of the lens. They are very fast. Look at this. The f point of this one is 1.8. 1.8 for 85 millimeter is really a fast lens, and we could have a shallow depth of field. Let's continue with sharing. Yeah. So these numbers are very important that you see here. The first one is that if they are zoom lens or they are prime lens. This is the prime lens, 50 millimeter, 1.8. This is the speed of the lens, or the wider aperture, or because it's the lowest f point. So different things we could call it. So in photography and cinematography, a normal lens is so we have something that we call it normal lens. Some people think that the normal lens is the lens that it's included with the camera, but it's not right. It's wrong. The normal lens have a very clear definition. In photography and cinematography, a normal lens is a lens that reproduces a field of view that appears natural. So what is natural? Natural means like what we see, like human being, what we observe. In contrast, deep compression and deep expansion with a shorter or longer focal length introduce noticeable and sometimes disturbing distortion. For still photography, a lens with a focal length about equal to diagonal size of the film or sensor. So this is very important. Let's talk about different kind of the camera here. Let me show you. So this is a full frame camera. We call it full frame. Why we call it full frame? Because the sensor is as big as a film camera. So in this camera, the sensor size is here. You can see, or if maybe again I open it, you may see the sensors. Actually, it doesn't have a sensor. The film size. This is the size of the film. You see. So if a digital sensor is the same size or approximately the same size of this camera, we call it full frame. This is a full frame Nikon. I'm going to show you. If you see, yeah, this is the sensor. You see how big it is? So this is the sensor of this camera. Now I want to just compare this one with a camera which is not a full frame. We call it sensor crop. This one is a sensor crop. You know, my table is really now crowded. So here. So if you look at this one, see this one, and now I want to compare these two together. Look at this one, and see, they are different. This is a smaller than this one. So this is sensor crop, and this is full frame. And full frame cameras have a bigger sensor. So when they have the bigger sensor, so the normal lens are also different for them, because the normal lens are defined by the diagonal of the sensor or the film. Let me show you. Okay, here. For still photography, a lens with a focal length about equal to the diagonal size of the film or sensor format is considered to be normal lens. For 35 millimeter camera, means this one. This is a 35 millimeter camera for this one. With a diagonal of 43 millimeter, the most commonly used normal lens is 50 millimeter. So 50 millimeter is a normal lens. That lens that I just opened it. But the focal lengths between 40 and 58 are considered normal. The 50 focal length was chosen by Oscar Barnack, the creator of the Leica. So Oscar Barnack announced that 50 millimeter is the normal lens for Leica. And most of the other companies just obey this rule and accept that 50 millimeter is the best to accept as a normal lens for full frame or film 35 film photography. Also, there are some other rule standard. For example, according to Zeiss, 55 is a better idea, just 5 millimeter. Okay, just Zeiss announced that 55 is a normal. So there are different aspects. Any millimeter, any size focal length from 40 to 58 could be normal. On the sensor crop camera, like this one, a sensor crop camera, 35 is a normal lens. So 35 here, this is a zoom lens. So this is a zoom lens, and we have here zoom. If you see different focal, so it's 18, 24, and 35. If I put it on 35, it is considered that I am taking a photo that is equal to 50 in that camera. So I want to show you. Yeah, here I want to show you. So from here, I put the camera in 35. See this camera in 35, and I take a photo. Let's show you somehow else. Just wait. I want to connect the cameras on the same. No, it's hard. Forget about it. I will show you here. $35. And so okay. So let's see what I have. It's 35 and everything is the same. Yeah, 35. And I take a photo of what I see here. Okay. Now I put this one. So 35. I put the card in this camera. And the card is full. So I should delete something. Sorry, the card is full. Oh, there are lots of video here. I'm deleting them. So now we can take a photo. Okay. From the same area, I took another photo. So let's see. So that this is a 50 lens. If you look at this one, you can see. Yeah. Can you? This is a 50 lens, and that was 35. So let's see what we have here. So this one. Photo. And the Nikon one. Okay. Okay, this is the one that I took with Canon 35, and this is with Nikon 50. See, the whole area are the same. So 35 in this kind of camera, what is the objective? What I want to say? I want to say that 35 in this camera, I mean crop sensor, is the same as 50 in full frame. So what are these camera? I mean, for example, if you are using Canon, it could be 6D, it could be 5D. If you are using Nikon, it's D810, it's D850. So when you are using crop sensor, you have longer focal length. It means that if you have 50 here, then it means that you have 85. If you have 85, it means that you have 135 on those cameras. So let's continue. Yeah, here. Okay, so yeah, on the crop sensor camera, a normal lens is usually taken to about 35 millimeter. Although any lens with a focal length that falls between about 28 millimeter to 36 will work. So then when we understand what is normal lens, it is 35 in crop sensor and 50 in full frame. Now, if we have something longer than them, then this is long focused, focal lens that we call it telephoto, and longer than this, shorter than this, we call it wide lens. So here there are some part of telephoto lens. You see, in photography, a long focal lens is a camera lens which has a focal length that is longer than the diagonal measurement. Means here longer than 50. Okay, we talk about 50 because most of the the camera, we actually consider it 50. Okay, so 85, 100, 200, 600, 800, there are all telephoto. And if we have shortened than them, we have wide angle, like this one, 8 to 15. So this is again a zoom lens, but it's 8 to 15. This one, 200 to 400, is a zoom lens, but it's a telephoto zoom lens. So this is a telephoto zoom lens, and this is 8 to 15 zoom lens, but it's a wide zoom lens or fish eye zoom lens. But we have some zoom lens that covers also the normal lens. So these times we call this wide to tele. When we call them wide to tele, it means that they cover also normal lens, like this one. This is wide 18. Then we have 103, 5, 35. So this is wide to tele. So it has normal, it has wide, and it has also tele. 4. Yeah. So any question about lens or any kind of lens you want to order or you want to buy? Yeah, good question. Good question. What are the differences between these two cameras? The first of all is the quality. When you have bigger sensor, the quality is much more. For example, you can have also the medium-sized camera that, for example, things by Hasselblad or Pentax. They are really expensive camera. The bodies are about, okay, less or more, I'm not sure, but it's about $10,000 for a body, just a body. So they have a very, even bigger than these kind of sensors. So when you have a bigger sensor, you have much more quality. So the pictures are better and you can have a better photography practicing and all the things. So, but crop sensors are cheaper and handy, and they are also if you want to try kind of telephoto, or for example nature photography, birds photography, sometimes with 200 or 300 focal length you have actually 450, so it's also good for that part. And also there are some mirrorless camera that they are full frame, so they are compact, they are small, but they have a very big sensor, like Sony Alpha 7. We cannot say something, you know, generally they have a better quality, but there are some good cameras and we cannot compare one by one. So we could talk about price, we could talk about other things and say that which one are better. So yeah, there are some camera that they have a better quality, that some of full frame but not all of full frame. You know what I mean? I want to say that we cannot compare, for example, all of crop sensor and say that all of full frames are better than them. No. But generally, full frames have a better quality because they have a bigger sensor if their sensor is brand new. For example, we cannot compare, for example, I'm not sure, but it's just an example. 5D, just 5D, the old one, not 5D Mark 2, 3, 4. So because we have now 5D Mark 4. For example, 5D, this is a very old camera. I believe the first time that it released, it was 2008 or 10. I'm not sure. So it's about 10 years ago. So that was a full frame camera. But does it mean that it's also better than all of the nowadays crop sensor? No. It doesn't mean. Okay. Any other question? I'm here. I find this video on YouTube. I checked it. It was very nice. A brief history of photography. If you search this one, a brief history of photography, it is very short, about 4 minutes, but briefly it talks about all the things that we talked. And it's very good to just remember what we were talking about. Yeah, see that photo that is, yeah. And here is the daguerreotype. You see, talking about. So just because recalling are the things, that having all the things. It's a very good and short video. There are lots of short video about history of photography. If you are interested, okay, I want to just assure you, there is no question in the quiz or any other places about this history. That was just for your knowledge. So this is the question: what happens if we know these things? If you know these things, you may think about different idea that could be helpful for you as practicing art, or even for making money. I know a person, a gentleman, who is practicing daguerreotype in United States right now, and he's making very good money. Okay, people come there and ask for a daguerreotype because they want to have vintage things, old things. So he has his own camera. Let me check, maybe I can find it. I'm not sure about the daguerreotype photography. Now maybe something, maybe I can search, find what is made daguerreotype. So yeah, there is a person, I might, as I'm talking, I'm just looking, maybe I find it. So there is a person who is practicing daguerreotype and producing this photo as making money. There are lots of people that are practicing this. So because they heard somewhere, they went for that and they find it, or Claudian, or other useful things. And also about pinhole photography, and about, for example, what we talked today, camera Obscura. I want to tell you that there is a very good photographer who just practiced camera Obscura. His name is Abelardo Morel. Yeah, Abelardo Morel, camera Obscura. Yeah, see, It came because he practiced very good this kind of photography. I want to share his photo. It's very nice. It's very nice. Let's see. Look at these photos to see what he did. Just first of all, let's look at them. Then you will guess what he did. Did you understand what happened here? Okay, yeah, this is the view of Central Park. So what happened there, spring 2019, this is brand new photography. See, the people are practicing right now, pinhole photography and camera obscura. So what did he do? It made this room to a camera obscura. It means that dark, he just closed all the places that dark light may come and change it to completely dark chamber or dark room. Then he just put the pins, and just through that pins lights come through the wall, and that was a picture on the wall. So he was there and take a photo of that picture. So this is with a camera, probably a digital camera, long exposure photography, but it's a reflection, or not reflection, it's a picture of the front view of the room. See, he's practicing this kind of photography right now. This is very nice because you see some part of the sky and the building on the bed, on telephone, everywhere. It's very nice. There was something they called it camera obscura or pinhole, and used this technique through digital photography and made all these photographs, and they are very nice. So some of them have also, you know, see, we have the lamp here, the shadow of lamp actually. So these are different places, Florence and other. So that was just an example. You can check his photos later yourself. Okay. And so for the next session, you can read your, not you can, I advise you to read your manual, your camera manual, and also watch and read a little about history of photography if you like. And later we will go through exposure. So this time you do not have too much, because this is the first session, you do not have too much exercise, but after that we could start. And I'm here, you can always contact me if you have any question.